Have you ever just stopped and truly wondered, like, what am I even doing here? What's the point of all this?
Oh, absolutely, Zia. I think that's one of those universal human questions, isn't it? Especially when you're going through a tough time, or even just feeling a bit lost. It just pops into your head. Why was I created?
Exactly. And it's a question that, a lot of people try to answer in so many different ways. But for me personally, turning to faith has provided the most clarity. And specifically, two books have really, really shaped my perspective.
Oh, tell me about them. I'm always looking for resources that can deepen that understanding.
So the first one is The Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren, and the other is Reclaim Your Heart by Yasmin Mogahed. They approach the question from slightly different angles, but I find they beautifully complement each other in painting a fuller picture of our creation and purpose.
Ah, Rick Warren's book is a classic, isn't it? I remember when it first came out, it was just everywhere. And Yasmin Mogahed, her work is so profound, really touches the soul. This is going to be a fascinating conversation.
It really is. Let's start with The Purpose Driven Life, because I think Rick Warren hits you right from the first sentence, doesn't he? He says, it's not about you. And that, honestly, is such a paradigm shift for so many of us.
It's so true. We grow up in a world that constantly tells us it is about us, our dreams, our ambitions, our happiness. So to hear that our existence isn't self-centered but God-centered is incredibly liberating, but also, for some, maybe a bit challenging to accept initially.
Right? He argues that we were created by God and for God. Our lives have meaning only when we understand this divine origin and destination. It really takes the pressure off trying to manufacture our own purpose.
I love how he breaks it down into 5 purposes too. It's not just one big vague idea. He gives us actionable ways to think about it. The first, if I recall correctly, is that we were planned for God's pleasure. What a beautiful thought that our very existence brings joy to our Creator.
It is beautiful. It makes you think about worship not just as a duty, but as an expression of love and gratitude. And it doesn't just mean singing hymns or praying. It means living a life that honors Him in every aspect, in how we treat others, how we work, how we steward our time.
Exactly. And then there's being formed for God's family, that sense of community, of belonging to something much larger than ourselves. In a world where so many people feel isolated, that's a powerful message. We're not meant to go through life alone. We're part of a divine family, a spiritual community.
And that ties into Yasmin Mogahed's work so well, actually. While she focuses on the heart's attachment to God, the community aspect in the purpose driven life reminds us that our spiritual journey isn't just individual, but also communal. We support each other in our journey back to God.
That's a great point. And then Warren talks about being created to become like Christ. That's a lifelong process of spiritual growth, isn't it? Continually striving to embody virtues like love, compassion, patience, and forgiveness. It's a journey of character development.
Definitely a journey. It's not a destination we just arrive at. And I think that's where the resilience comes in too, because you understand that even your struggles are part of that refinement process, making you more like what you're meant to be. This resonates with Mogahed's idea that trials are often blessings in disguise, meant to redirect our hearts.
Yes, absolutely. And the last 2 purposes from Warren, serving God and being made for a mission, really bring it all together, I think. It's not just about introspection, but about outward action, taking those gifts and talents and using them to make a difference in the world, to serve others.
Right. It's about leveraging whatever you've been given, your abilities, your resources, your platform, for a purpose beyond yourself. And that truly is where genuine fulfillment lies. It's when you stop focusing on what can I get and start asking what can I give.
It's so true, Zia. I mean, every time I've volunteered or helped someone without expecting anything in return, that feeling of joy and satisfaction is just unparalleled. It's not the same as buying something new or achieving a personal goal. It's deeper.
It's because you're tapping into a purpose that's larger than your own ego. Now, shifting to Yasmin Mogahead's Reclaim Your Heart, she brings in this incredibly poignant perspective about the heart itself. Her core message, as I understand it, is about where we place our ultimate attachments.
Yes, I love how she discusses the concept of dunya, this worldly life. She reminds us that everything in dunya is temporary, a fleeting shadow. And when we attach our hearts completely to these temporary things, whether it's wealth, status, relationships, even our own achievements, we're setting ourselves up for heartbreak.
That's it. She says the heart was created for God, and when you try to fill it with anything else, it will always feel incomplete, restless, constantly yearning for something it can't quite grasp. It's like trying to fill a divine sized hole with worldly objects. They just don't fit.
Such a powerful metaphor, and it explains why even when we achieve all our worldly goals, we can still feel empty, because those aren't the things our hearts truly crave. Our hearts yearn for something eternal, something unchanging, and that's God.
Exactly. She uses this beautiful analogy, I think, about how if you're holding something tightly in your hand and someone tries to give you something new, you can't receive it because your hand is already full. Our hearts are like that. If they're full of worldly attachments, there's no room for God's peace to enter.
Wow, that's so vivid. It really makes you reflect on what you're clinging to, doesn't it? And it's not about rejecting the world entirely, but about having the right perspective on it, to see it as a means, not an end.
Precisely. The world is a bridge, not a home. We pass through it. We use its resources to build our eternal home. But we shouldn't try to settle down on the bridge because it's inherently unstable. And I think that's where Yasmin Mogahed offers immense comfort, especially when we face losses.
Yes, her insights on suffering and grief are so profound. She helps us understand that these trials aren't punishments, but often wake-up calls, divine interventions to recenter us, to remind us where our true hope and security lie.
It's a way for God to reclaim our hearts when we've mistakenly given them fully to something or someone else. It's painful, of course, but it's ultimately a mercy. It helps us detach from what's temporary and reattach to what's eternal.
So, when you bring these two perspectives together, Rick Warren's 5 purposes and Yasmin Mogahead's emphasis on heart attachment, what's the overall picture you get about why God created us?
I think they both point to a profoundly God centric existence. Warren gives us the what, the specific purposes that define our lives when lived for God. Mogahed gives us the how and the where, how to navigate this world without losing our spiritual compass, and where our hearts should ultimately find rest.
That's a brilliant way to put it. Warren lays out the blueprint for a purpose-driven life that honors God, and Mogahed reminds us that true peace and fulfillment in that life come from a heart that is rightly oriented towards its Creator, not constantly seeking validation or satisfaction from the fleeting world.
Exactly. Our creation wasn't arbitrary, it was intentional, infused with divine purpose. And that purpose is ultimately about knowing God, loving God, serving God, and becoming more like God, while keeping our hearts singularly devoted to Him above all else.
So, practically speaking, for someone listening who's maybe feeling a bit adrift right now, how can they start to integrate these ideas into their daily life, beyond just reading the books, which I highly recommend everyone does?
That's a great question. I think a good starting point is reflection. Take time each day, even just a few minutes, to pause and ask yourself, am I living in a way that aligns with God's pleasure? Am I nurturing my spiritual family? Am I striving to grow in character? How am I serving today?
And from Mogahead's perspective, it would be about checking your heart's attachments. What are you most worried about losing? What brings you your deepest joy? If those answers are purely worldly, it might be a signal to consciously shift your focus, even in small ways, towards the divine.
Absolutely. It's a process of constantly recalibrating, isn't it? Every time you feel that pang of anxiety about something worldly or that crushing disappointment, ask, is my heart attached where it shouldn't be? Am I expecting something from dunya that only God can give?
And that ties so well back to Warren's point about our mission. When your heart is aligned with God, your mission in life becomes clear. It's not just about earning a living, it's about making a lasting impact, inspiring others, and contributing positively to the world as an act of worship.
Yeah. And even the most mundane tasks can be elevated into acts of worship when done with the right intention. Washing dishes, commuting to work, helping a neighbor. It can all be part of fulfilling your purpose if your heart is oriented correctly.
It's really about infusing your entire life with divine meaning, not just compartmentalizing your faith to certain times or places. It's an all encompassing way of being.
Precisely. And that's where true peace comes from, I think. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of God in every problem. And knowing that your life is part of a much grander, more beautiful narrative than you could ever conceive on your own.
You know, one of the most comforting takeaways for me from both these authors is that we don't have to figure it all out by ourselves. The purpose is already there. The path is illuminated. We just need to open our hearts and minds to it.
Definitely. It's not a burden, it's a gift. The gift of knowing that you are deeply loved, meticulously designed, and eternally purposed. And when you grasp that, everything else kind of falls into place.
What a beautiful thought to end on, Zia, feeling loved and purposed. Thank you for sharing these insights and connecting these two amazing books. I feel like I've got a renewed sense of clarity and inspiration.
My pleasure, Rachel. It's always so good to talk about these profound questions. And for everyone listening, we truly hope this conversation sparks your own journey of discovery into why God created me. We encourage you to pick up the purpose driven life and reclaim your heart and dive in.
Yes, absolutely. Let us know what you discover. Until next time, take care, everyone.
Stay blessed and keep seeking that divine purpose. Bye for now.